All right, good evening, everybody. I only found out today that we're voting on some proposals on some referendums in the coming election, which is Tuesday, 2 days from now. So I wanted to talk a little bit. Maybe some. I don't know how many of my viewers are in New York State, and I don't know really anything about these. So I'm just going to be reading these for the first time now, with no bias, not knowing anything about it, and we'll see. What are these all about? Because I saw some signs to say vote no on the various propositions. I don't remember exactly which ones were no, but just I saw a few signs, so I wanted to see what exactly is going on here and what are the issues exactly when it comes to these referendum that are coming up. And I'm sure a lot of people who have with the early voting today, I think was the last day of early voting, maybe it was last week. So if you didn't vote yet, which I didn't vote yet, I insist on voting on election day. I don't believe in early voting. I think it's really undermines the whole election process, and I also think mail-in voting also undermines the election process. Not only that, but I don't trust mail-in voting. I've worked for the Board of Elections, and if someone has no choice and they need to use an absentee ballot, like I did when I was in yeshiva in Jerusalem, it's a different thing. But if you don't have a good reason to not vote on election day, and the polls are open on election day from before you go to work in the morning till well after you come home from work. You don't have an excuse. Nobody's working for 15 hours a day. I don't think so on election day. And this whole proposal that election day should be a national holiday so people should get off work. Well, somebody has to work. People have to work. It's one part of it. Even when you have a holiday, all right, so you have a holiday, that doesn't necessarily mean that people aren't going to work. It means if you work for places that give you paid holidays, that you're not going to work. Which is, the thing that they offer where I work is that you can either come to work late or leave work early or take a longer lunch break to go vote if you want to do that. And so that's kind of what. Although I know we did that last year and the year before. I don't know this year if they're even offering us that now that you have this option of the absentee ballots and so forth. Not even absentee ballots, just the mail-in ballots. They're not even for absentee purpose, which is the original reason for absentee. Let's go through these. I think even though this is from a government website, it almost seems that this description of this referendum, of this proposal, is somewhat biased. So let's look at it. So ballot proposal, and they said there could be other local ballot proposals, which I might want to look at later, but this is these are the statewide ones, which I guess is important to make a video about because these are the ones that have the biggest appeal to possible viewers on the channel. Again, I don't know how many of my viewers are from New York, but I think a sizable amount are from the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. So let's see what we have here, although I know we have viewers all over the world and all over the United States. So let's look at this. Ballot proposal number 1, form of submission of proposal number 1, an amendment amending the apportionment and redistricting process. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that this was one of the ones that they said to vote no on, which is interesting because it says here this proposed constitutional amendment would freeze the number of state senators at 63, amend the process for counting of the state's population, and delete certain provisions that violate the United States Constitution, repeal and amend certain requirements for the appointment of the co-executive directors of the Redistricting Commission, and amend the manner of drawing district lines for congressional and state legislative offices, shall the proposed amendment be approved. This doesn't really tell us much about it. Certainly there seems to be something biased if you're going to say that it violates the United States Constitution. If that's the case, if it does violate the United States Constitution, how is it here? How do we have it? Is it because there was an amendment to the United States Constitution, or has it been something that's been unconstitutional all along? How has it been here? And with that being said, is it really, or is this just an opinion that's being stated here? I don't have a lot of time to really talk about this because I have to pause the video to make a phone call. Abstract of proposal, so maybe we'll just do the first one. Proposal number 1, an amendment amending the apportionment and redistricting process. This scares me because already the apportionment and redistricting process is extremely corrupt, and considering who's in control, I think it's just going to get worse. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I really don't know enough about what's being proposed here. The purpose of this proposal is to amend the portions of Article 3 of the New York Constitution to relate to the way district lines for congressional and state legislative offices are determined. The proposal would do the following: amend and repeal. And why is this all in one? Amend and repeal portions of the state constitutional amendment adopted by voters in 2014 that created a redistricting commission, meaning we just did this 7 years ago, right? And now we got to fix this. And the truth is, I would like to see redistricting. I would like to see my district, New York 19, be purely rural. I don't think it's right that the city of Kingston, which is a large city, can basically cancel out all the rest of the district. Kingston belongs in the Albany district and not in our district. I'm not saying this is not a racist or anything, statement. This is because there is racial diversity within the rural communities. What I'm saying is that there is a difference between the type of representation that we need in Congress for a rural district than there is in an urban district. That's just common sense. All right, so allow the redistricting commission to appoint 2 co-executive directors by simple majority vote without consideration as to the party affiliation of the individual being appointed. That definitely scares me. I think the original one probably had something. I should see what the 2014 one is, right? I would assume it would want you to have 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, and here it sounds like they're kind of saying, let's make them all Democrats, right? Furthermore, this amendment would eliminate the alternative process currently in place that allows the appointment of co-executive directors and co-deputy executive directors by the legislature. Should the redistricting commission fail to appoint co-executive directors and remove the requirement that the 2 co-executive directors of the redistricting commission be members of different parties. All right, for this I'm going to vote no because I think it's wrong. Because what it's going to mean is that it's just all going to be Democrats. Freeze the number of state senators, the current number of 63, currently in the state constitution. The number of senators was originally set at 50 and thereafter increased over time to 63. That doesn't really make sense if the population grows. We should have more districts, even if I understand that there's a difference between the Assembly and the Senate, but nonetheless, I'm not sure, is that because we have 63 counties? Does each county get a senator? I don't know exactly how that works in the New York State. I mean, that's how it is in the federal government, that each state has 2 senators. So does that mean each county has 1 senator? I don't really know. Require that the state assembly and senate, I think it is, require that the state assembly and senate district lines be based on the total population of the state to count all citizens, including non-citizens and Native Americans, if the federal census fails to include them. This, I would say no. Certainly the Native Americans, who have been part of this country forever before we got here, should be included. I'm not against that part of this. But I never heard that the Native Americans were not included in any federal census. But non-citizens should not be included. They don't vote. All right, children don't vote either, and they're counted. But this sounds like really bad news. This is... Here we go. Provide for incarcerated people to be counted at their place of last residence instead of at their place of incarceration for the purpose of redistricting. This practice already established by state statute for Senate and Assembly districts. If it's already in the statute, I don't see why it needs an amendment like this. And also, what if you have an out-of-state? This could be a positive thing because, I mean, it's a small amount of out-of-state prisoners that are housed in state and county prisons, but not only them, but certainly federal prisoners many are housed in New York State, in the state prisons in New York, in the federal prisons that are in New York State that are from out of state, which would mean that they don't count, which I guess that part is good, but that's already in the statute, so it's unnecessary to do this, to add this to the Constitution. Revise the procedure for drawing and approving congressional and state legislative districts to be first applied in 2022. The proposed amendment would alter redistricting procedure in the following ways. This sounds really scary if they want to make it just all Democrats just making these decisions. Change the redistricting map approval procedures for the Redistricting Commission and legislature by making changes to the voting thresholds needed to approve/adopt a plan. Under this proposal, approval of a plan by the Redistricting Commission would require at least 7 votes out of the 10 commissioners in favor thereof. There would no longer be a requirement that at least one commissioner appointed by each of the legislative leaders vote in favor of a plan in order to approve it. A plan approved by at least 7 commissioners must be approved by a majority of each house of the legislature be approved. However, in the event that the Redistricting Commission votes on but does not have the 7 votes needed to approve a plan, the commission is required to send the legislature the redistricting plan or plans that garnered the most votes. The legislature would be able to adopt such a plan with a 60% majority. This amendment would repeal the requirement that in the event of the Speaker of the Assembly and the temporary President of the Senate are members of the same political party, approval shall require a vote in support of its passage by at least 2/3 of the members elected in each houses. If the commission fails to vote on any plan by the deadline, all the plans, including the draft plans in the commission's possession, are sent to the legislature, and each house of the legislature can introduce and adopt such a plan with or without amendments. The Districting Commission voting requirements and legislative vote thresholds for approving the commission's plan will no longer vary depending on the political affiliation of the temporary President of the Senate and the Speaker of the Assembly. This again, it sounds like this is a Democrat power grab. I don't know if that's the case, but it certainly sounds like a Democrat power grab to hold on to their power, requiring the Redistricting Commission that draws the lines to submit its redistricting plan and implementing legislation to the legislature 2 months earlier than called for under the current procedure. The timeline set forth in 2014 constitutional state amendment for the redistricting cycle to proceed in 2022. The time frame would be condensed to meet election-related deadlines. So it seems as if they're scared that they're going to lose in 2022, and so they're doing what they can to consolidate power. That's just what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong. I think we want to stop at the grocery first, right before we drop off the other stuff. Remove certain restrictions how Senate district lines are drawn, including block the border rule that require placing blocks in the border of districts in certain districts. Delete certain text provisions that the U.S. Supreme Court has deemed unconstitutional. All right. So text of proposal number 1, amendment concurrent resolution of the Senate and Assembly. Proposing the amendment relation to state senators' inclusion of incarcerated persons in the federal census for population. So this keeps going. I'm going to have to look at this. We've already gone 15 minutes into this. And Interesting, they use the word Indians here, which Native Americans call themselves Indians also. So we're going to have to look at this later because this does not sound good to me. I may need to talk to a lawyer about what is this all about. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment.